All right. Week one of the new block. Yeah, super happy. It was a really good week. There wasn't any major aches and pains. Everything kind of moved well. I like the bit of a pullback on some of the exercises, weight wise, and a little bit of a volume drop as well. But also just the refocusing from I've been doing heavy back squats, heavy high bar back squats, and then I'm doing front squats with an eccentric and a pause. And I think just that, kind of weight pullback versus, from the high bar squats being over 200 kilos versus, I think I went up to 120 this week on the front squats, just made the body feel a lot better and a lot more, well, a lot less fatigued, to be honest, which is really nice. I've always been a kind of person who's like, front squats are great for strongman. There's no point in doing them. But I don't know if I think that anymore. I think they have their place, but not what people think. I think a lot of people put them into strongman programming as like you get a really strong front squat, you're going to have a really big Atlas stone. But I don't think it has as much carryover to Atlas stones as people claim it does. Because you're in a super upright position, great. You're in a pretty upright position when you do a Atlas stone, great. Why would you not just do a high bar back squat where you can really push the weights a lot heavier versus the front squat? Because if you want to get stronger in the Atlas stone, you want your squat position to be stronger, so why not just push the exercise where you can push the weights heavier, right? So I don't think it's the idea of, it has carryover stones or it has carryover to sandbag loading or sandbag movements or anything like that. I think it's more, I think the carryover isn't that, it is the idea of it's a filler exercise to reduce fatigue. So you've been doing high bar back squats because squat isn't really an event in strongman very often. And even when you do have it as an event in strongman, it's normally in a suit with wraps, so you can kind of, it's a bit easier than doing a powerlifting squat. It's always a little bit higher and it's to boxes, and I find it easier to boxes because you kind of just meant to be a little bounce off the boxes. But you push your back squat pretty often as a strongman, and you're pushing your deadlift at the same time, so you're building that fatigue levels. And then, the last block, I got to the point where my fatigue was just so high, my legs were shaking when I was trying to do overhead press movements, like dumbbell, where I'd have to drive and press. So adding in front squats for a block gives that little bit of neural recovery, so I can actually still get a movement in that is still working, positioning, and still pushing me, because front squats are an exercise that do push me, mainly because I'm not great at them. So, but it's a good filler exercise to kind of reduce that neural fatigue, and especially so I'm doing coach put front squats anyway, and I was like, I don't like doing front squats because this style has never worked for me. I don't know why, it just immediately rolls off my shoulders. I can Olympic front squat, but the issue is as soon as it gets heavy, I lose my upper back positioning, and the bar ends up sitting on my hands, and it ends up hurting the wrists and the fingers. So I said to myself, I'm going to do zombies. And so I did zombies this week. Only ended up going up to 120 because it was sets of 5 or 6 reps, 3 second eccentric, 1 second pause, and really trying to maintain a really super upright position. And I'm going to try throughout this block really try and push my knee trail as far forward as possible to get that pressure through the TFLs and through my quads in general to help build that strength back up as the injury recovers. Everything else was really nice this week. I've gotten back into push press now, which is lucky, which is really nice. Coach started me on seated behind the neck strict press, standing behind the neck strict press, general strict press. I think I did a second block of general strict press, and now I'm into push press. And I'm guessing everything's worked because I managed to go up to 135 for a set of 5, and that was pretty comfortable. I think the most I've ever done for a set of 5 push press is 140 kilos, I think. So that's on a barbell, mind you. Like I'm pretty sure I've strict pressed on a log 140 for 5, potentially. No, 135 for 5. But log is just easier for the way and all that. So yeah, it was a good week. Very happy with it. A few different movements in there, which was nice. I was doing upright rows with barbells and refocusing on the technique with the dumbbell as well. I think I kind of got a little bit too focused on technique not being perfect, and then me kind of buggering out because I'm like, oh, it's not perfect, it's not going to work. Whereas I just got to work on a few little minor things, and then it'll start clicking again. Especially when the weight got up to 80 kilos, it's just, get it up here. I'm like, oh, where's my position? Oh, it doesn't feel right. Press it. Oh, it didn't feel good because I'm just focusing too much on the technique when it gets heavy. So yeah, we've taken a step back, and it was just 60 kilos this week. Sets of 5, and I'm just focusing on just the overhead. So doing a little pause in the hole, and then really trying to dip and then drive hard. Well, go down, pause, and then drive hard from there. And I was trying a little bit of dropping under the dumbbell, get underneath it like you would a jerk. I always find it awkward doing that. I don't know what it is. I can, on a barbell, I can power jerk really well, like a split jerk quite well. But as soon as I'm on a dumbbell, I kind of drive, but I don't finish a drive pattern all the way through my toes before I try and drop underneath. So it's just something to work on, and I'll continue working on it. Even though the weights will increase a little bit throughout this program, I'm just going to focus purely on warming up with the really nice technique, trying to dip, pause, drive hard, and then drop underneath it. So I used to, when I first got into not first, but when I got back into competing in Strongman back in 2021-ish, I think, I would do a split jerk with the old dumbbell, and that worked. So I just need to figure out how to convert that into a power jerk. So I'll get that. Nice light deadlifts this week, which is good. Fatigue recovery. It was also nice because it was 200 kilos, regular deadlifts, and I was just trying to basically do as much power off the floor as possible to try and really move the weight to get that idea of going for it again. And yeah, a few new exercises. I wasn't exactly sure what my coach Rich meant when he said split squats with the safety squat bar. So I just did Bulgarian split squats because I like Bulgarians, because they target the quads more than anything, so may as well. Yeah, good week overall. Looking forward to getting into the rest of this program. I've decided a friend of mine locally here in Palmerston North, Mel, she runs the local women's Wahine strength club. She is running a log deadlift stone fundraiser because she's going over to OSG later this year in the Masters. Sorry if I get this wrong, Mel. 50 plus? I think she's 50 plus. I probably got that wrong. I'm not sure. But she's doing a fundraiser to get over to OSG, and I was initially I'm not going to jump into that. I'll help load, ref, whatever you need me to do. But I don't think I'm ready to be competing just yet. And then she shared one of her posts, and she tags me in the post so I can share them as well. It was a story, I think. And then when I shared it, she messaged me. She's like, "You gonna jump in, sign up?" I was like, things are feeling pretty good. Maybe I could. So I messaged coach, and he was just like, "Yeah, that'll work. That's kind of perfect timing for where we're at with program wise. So jump in." So I'm not going to go 100%. I'm not going to go in there and try and win the world. I'm just going to go in there and have some fun. My deadlift strength still isn't there yet, but I'll be happy to just go like a 145 log, a 325 deadlift, and maybe it's a simple like 160 stone, nothing crazy. You'll see on the day. I haven't done log at all in months and months. So yeah, I think I'm just going to jump in on log on the day. Maybe the final week of this program, on a Wednesday, I could jump on some log and just see how it feels. But I'm pretty much just winging it. It's just for fun. I'm not trying to, as I said, win the world or be the best as this recovery still goes. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. See you next time. All right, and we're into some lifting. So this is the zombie squats I talked about. So it's just 120 kilos. Yeah, I'm doing the eccentrics properly and the pulls properly. You see I get that little bit of a seam like I'm going to be super upright. And at the very bottom, my hips kind of shoot back and my chest falls. I'm wondering if that's to do with my forward knee travel just not being far enough, or if it's just a flexibility issue through my thoracic. I have had issues with that in the past, is not being able to extend far enough. So, something to work on. I've never really been great at front squats, so I'll work on them. And then, it was hamstring curls, so I had the choice of either doing it as a superset or individuals. I did like the supersets with the squats, but I prefer to just focus on one thing at a time when it comes to like squats and then hamstrings, because I'm able to push a little bit harder. And then this has been moved to a different day. So this is my suitcase pickups. So here I'm doing, I think it's 100 kilos. 100 kilos, and I'm going to try and do this block entirely beltless, just to kind of work on that core strength a little bit more. I think I went up to 142 on the final week with the belt. I'm pretty sure that's 100, because it would be 110 on a bar, but the thing weighs 12 kilos, so 102 kilos essentially. Did find that the right side is a little bit more painful, which I'm not sure why. And I've got ab rollouts, which I have not done in a very, very long time. And throughout the set, my confidence kind of grew and grew, and I got to the point where my stomach and body are like touching the floor. So pretty happy with that. And then you'll get to see me. I got a little bit too overconfident at the end of the set. I thought, you know what? I can do one on my toes. I can do that. Yeah, cannot do one on my toes. I maintained the tension pretty well, and then body's on the ground, and I tried to get back up, and it did not happen. And day 2, so this is my push press. Pretty happy with this. So it was 3 sets of 5 reps, and it was meant to be basically no sticky reps, essentially. So I started out at 120. So this is the 120. I figured I could start there because I did that strict for 6 reps the previous program. So we have the 125, and I was still feeling very comfortable. So I was kind of sent the last set and jumped up to 135. I'm not getting quite enough extension through my toes. And the stance is quite wide. I would like to bring it in, but it just seems to feel what is natural to me. Yeah, this is 135. And again, I'm pretty happy with it. Like I'm not doing a huge amount of lean back or anything like that, so it's not actually they're not actually super hard reps. The last rep, I do get a little bit out of line. It gets a little bit sticky, but still pretty comfortable. I'm hoping I can end that at around like 145. Then, monster dumbbell. So this has been moved to my main pressing day. So you can see me there trying to get the kind of power jerk, but I just don't seem to finish my extension properly, and then just kind of lackadaisically drop underneath it. But it's something to work on. I think the second rep was the only one that kind of felt good on the set. I did notice in this session, this was my first set, because I wanted to just focus on the overhead portion of the lift, doing push press, heavy push press, and then going into that. It's quite hard on the old shoulder, just muscular wise. And then this is just a little pump session that I have at the end. So upright rows, just 40 kilos, nothing heavy. Just trying to get the old traps firing. Coach is a big advocate of, if you do some kind of like pressing motion, whether it be like a chest press, like a bench press, incline bench, overhead press, you do some kind of pulling motions to open the chest back up. I chose to do the rear delts on my head on the bench just to make sure I'm really focusing on that rear delt and not just using my body to get the weight to move. And then some hammer curls, coach is really focusing, and I've been focusing on as well, trying to get as much blood flow into my elbows as possible because I've been having some elbow issues on my left side. I don't know if it's tendonitis or what's going on there, but just, yeah, get that little bit of extra blood flow through the area and the muscular work as well. So, yeah, pretty happy. And this was the last exercise of the session. Checking out my arms. Have noticed these. I've been doing a lot more biceps, so my arms are getting bigger. This is the deadlift I talked about. It's just 200 kilos, so I'm kind of trying to yank it off the floor a bit more than I normally would. That is how I normally deadlift in general, but I've been kind of scared to do that. Here's my partner. She's been coming to the gym with me. So that's 80 kilos. She's still learning, so there's technique things to fix, but she's getting quite strong quite quickly. Especially she's coming off a back injury that she's been going and seeing a physio for. Yeah, pretty comfortable. And then, yeah, this was I didn't know what coach was talking about with split squats. So I just did Romanians because you could do a Romanian split squat, you could do a normal split squat, you can do a lunge. This really racked my brain because, I'm a little bit autistic. And the fact that I couldn't figure out what he meant by a split squat, because a split squat to me would just be a lunge. So I was like, I'm just going to do Bulgarians here. Did I say Romanians before? Bulgarian split squats. I did really enjoy this because the rack's small enough that I'm able to hold the sides while I'm doing the exercise. And yeah, quad pump of doom. Gained a lot of quad work, and it's been like that for a while now, trying to focus on getting blood into the areas that have injuries, so TFL mainly, but also just strengthening it as well, getting a bit more muscle mass. So this was the last set, 5 sets, 15 reps with 30 seconds rest. And then here's me, new exercise, V sit-ups. I did not know I could do these, but it turns out I can. So this was the last set, and I think I did 10 reps. The other sets I did 14 and 12. It was quite hard. I was quite surprised. Still got incline bench in the program, which is something that I've wanted to keep in the program anyway. So starting out with sets of 8. So it was 125 for 3 sets of 8. I banged that out really comfortably quite quickly. And then I asked for this to be put in as a further shoulder exercise, the no back support shoulder press. Good for the core, good for just knowing how to position yourself, and really good for the delts. Lightweight just to start with this week, as I'll try and increase it over the weeks. This was really hard today. I don't know why. My core was just, because the goal is to try and get a bit of stretch and touch the ground. And it is 20 reps. But I noticed just by the end of the set, I step back and have to breathe for a few minutes because my core is just firing heavier than it normally would in exercise. So I was struggling to breathe. I don't know why. But I go to the other side and get the set done. Using the old straps because, I don't need the grip work. I've got a strong enough grip as it is. So I do solo grip work elsewhere. But you can see it does start getting hard. I put it down, take a breather. I don't know why it was so hard. I've done this with 60 kilos for sets of 20. There's something coach put in, just blood flow for the elbow joints. He did say, we'll use a band, that way it's like accommodating resistance and it should be easy, just blood flow. The 3 sets of 30, the pump was crazy. That's my partner just sitting there watching. And I go and complain to her afterwards about how I'm too much of a pussy and my triceps are burning. But I get this set done. And then, biceps to finish. So just just trying to still get that. Yeah, it's moving through the elbow joint, and that's what I've been having issues with. So more blood flow to the area is very, very helpful. And I didn't often do biceps in my like previous programming. I would do them once a week, or do them a lot on like deload weeks. Yeah, so pretty happy overall. Good week. Finishing off with some biceps for the guys.